every day we be grinding, and if you wanna come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music.
This is Mommy's jam.
Then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Welcome in to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
Hey! Welcome to the show. It's the Get Your Happy On Hour on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm your host, Ricky C. Simmons. You know, I was just sitting here thinking, man, before the show tonight, there's a lot going on out here in our society, right? And we can't control it. I want to give a big shout out to everybody, man, that's dealing with life on a positive level and a positive note, because, see, it's geared for you to be negative. And we're just not doing that. Being negative doesn't fix anything. Stress is not your friend. And I understand that better than most. I had to go through a lot of things to get to this point. But I just want you guys to know that all of you guys that are being positive out there, that's not getting any credit or any recognition, I recognize you, and I'm giving you a big shout out. So keep being positive. That's the most important thing. Hey, I got another little brother tonight. That's right. I got another little brother. And we finna find out all about it, because, see, he got some stuff that I don't know nothing about, but I'm finna find out, because I'm finna ask these questions. Steve Taylor.
That's right. You got it. Yeah.
Hey, man, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I watch you all the time and love what you do and what you say. And so I'm just privileged to be here. Yeah.
Well, Steve, let me ask you this here before we get started. Man, look, you got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about, but I want to go from the beginning, because, see, a lot of the people that watch the show, they know your name. And they know you former Husker stuff. But I want to go back a little further, man. Where'd you grow up?
You know, it's weird. Every story is unique, but I'm originally from Fresno, California.
Fresno, okay.
Born and raised.
Okay.
I spent 16 years of my life there. That's really where I was groomed in all sports,
Okay.
I played with Tim McDonald, Icky Woods, a bunch of guys.
The Icky Woods Shuffle?
Icky Woods. That's we were running backs together. Oh yeah. Tommy Goodwin, Keith Mitchell. I played baseball with those guys. But I was born and raised in Fresno. Never lost a game in Fresno from Pop Warner all the way through my sophomore year. But anyway, the head coach that year took a job in San Diego.
Okay.
And asked me to move in with him to be his quarterback in Southern California, and that's where Marcus Allen went to school. And he said, you know what, you have more exposure, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what happened. So I left Fresno, 16. Now, my mom was a secretary at the high school.
Okay.
She was going to get a job my senior year, and I was going to move back in with her. And my little brother, Alonzo, was going to move. Alonzo was going to live together as a family. That's what all they did. But Anyway, so I moved and lived in the suburbs. I went from the inner city to the suburbs. Played 2 years in San Diego, and then I was recruited by Nebraska. So, and that's kind of what happened. People think I'm from San Diego, but I'm actually from Fresno. A lot of mixed emotions about there. You know,
Okay, I got
because
you.
my heart was Fresno, but I was from San Diego. And
How far apart was those places?
It's 6 hours.
Oh wow,
It's 6 hours. I used to ride in the back of a pickup truck, going from San Diego to Fresno through the Grapevine to go see my mom and them for holidays. Running back Tim Reuters and I, we had an offensive lineman and linebacker. So we used to ride in the back of a little 2-seater pickup, and we used to drive back and forth from Fresno to San Diego to see our families and stuff. So it was a little different experience, you know, but in the end, it all worked out.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, what other sports did you play besides football?
I played everything. I played basketball, baseball, football, soccer. Baseball was actually my first love. I played that since I was 7 years old. My older brother, Ronald, was a great baseball player. I was always told I would never be as good as him. But actually I was, but that's what I was told. But no, baseball was my first love. And so I did that my entire life until I came to college. I was drafted by the Yankees out of high school.
Oh, wow.
I had a chance to play, but I had some options, so I didn't go that route. That's one of the regrets I have a little bit. But no, baseball was my first. I was a good basketball player. I did it all. I mean, back then we just played everything. We went from season to season.
Right.
We didn't have all these clubs and that kind of stuff. So I used to climb up on the hoop and put the net up, and I had my basketball. I mean, I was a pretty good point guard. You know, it was fun. It was just fun. We just did everything. That's all we had to do in Fresno was to play sports, and so that's kind of my story growing up.
Well, let me ask you this now. When you got out of high school, I'm sure you had plenty of offers, but why did you choose Nebraska?
You know, because of you, man.
No,
this is the truth. I mean, I think I have one of the better stories. I was going to football camp at Cal Berkeley going into my senior year. I was in the car with my coach, and he asked me, what school would I like to go to? And I said, I want to go to the University of Nebraska. He said, fine. So when I get back, we're going to pick out 4 or 5 of your best games, and we're going to send them off to Nebraska. I had just watched you guys in 83, 84 Orange Bowl. You, Turner Gill, Mike was there, all that guys, scoring explosion, all that stuff. And then Coach Osborne went for 2.
Yeah.
And then I watched the following year when they played in Sugar Bowl against LSU with Doug DeBose. And I was like, the offense, Turner was just so good how he ran that offense and the offensive alignment, crazy fans. My coach's wife was from Wisconsin, the Midwest. So she always talked about, the Midwest and playing in the cold and all that kind of stuff. Now, I should have thought about that twice, but so I was always intrigued about that. So no, I came back and he sent out the tape to Nebraska. I got a letter like 2 weeks later from Steve Peterson, which was a recruiting coordinator, and said, "Hey, we're only taking 1 quarterback in this class, and you're our guy." I mean, so I got first pick, and so I wanted them, they wanted me, and so my whole recruiting experience was great. I verbally committed to them, but I did tell Coach Osborne I was going to take all my visits because I was literally in jail with my coach. I couldn't go out or doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I went to USC, Washington, UCLA, Colorado, Minnesota, Cal Berkeley, and I just had a good time. I was wild.
So
I had a great time.
You took the visits knowing you coming to Nebraska.
Knowing I come to Nebraska. Nebraska was my first trip, so I got that out of the way. So that's the other 4. I just partied and had a good time. Let them wine and dine me a little bit. And Lou Holtz was the best at Minnesota. They offered me the world. That's a true story. But no, so my experience was great. I got Nebraska, they got me, and it was just a good fit.
Now, when you got to Nebraska, coming from the West Coast, I know that first winter had to be an adjustment.
It was, but it's the summer too. I mean, I came, Broderick Thomas and myself, and Lee, we were like the number 2, number 3 recruiting class in the country. We had some big time players. So at that time, we came up early in the summer, which players really didn't do.
Right.
So I checked into the dorms and we hung out, and it was hot and humid. I remember sitting out in the courtyard in Harper Schramm Smith with Gene Chili in just some gray shorts and a half cut up top, at 12 o'clock at night, and it was awesome. I didn't know what was going to be coming. I had an idea because I came up in December when Nebraska was practicing for the Sugar Bowl, and they were out there on the turf, and it was cold and everything. But when I first felt the cold air, I was in Denver. That was the first time I'd ever flown in my entire life. And I remember flew into Denver, and I was walking, the carport or the when you're getting on the plane,
right?
And they have the plane, then you had the little window, and I felt that cold air, and I was like, how could air just be so freaking cold? I thought I was in like a freezer, So that's when I kind of got a eye awakening experience. But at that time, you're so young, you're looking forward to everything. I never really saw snow, experienced that, but obviously we did walking through the dorm, so it was quite the adjustment. My first year, it was cold.
Yeah, well, Steve, I did a little research on you, and man, you had an amazing career in Nebraska.
Well, thank you.
If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I saw something about All-American.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to do that. I made a few All-American. I talk to people all the time about this, and you and Johnny, you guys set the standard, And when you're walking through those halls and you're seeing all the history of Nebraska, how many times they're ranked number in the top 10 in the country, how many consecutive bowl games. When you're walking through those corridors and you see all those pictures, you see all the All-American pictures, you see the outline, you see all those things. And we have players, we aspire. We want to win as many games as we can. We want to leave our legacy. We want to leave our mark. And at that time, in the locker room, they had, if you were All-American or whatnot, right? They had all this stuff on there. So when you go to that locker room every day and you see these things, you want to keep up that standard. So I wanted to be one of the best quarterbacks I could ever be. It's hard to follow a guy like Turner Gill, but if I was half the quarterback he was, I that would be okay with me. And that's where it all started. So, yeah, I was fortunate enough to make a few teams. And I beat out Troy Aikman, Rodney Peete, Steve Washington, guys like that. We had a pretty good class. So I hope I left my mark here. We didn't win the national championship. We were close, but we did some other great things. And I think we did our part. And we helped Nebraska, like you did. We helped Nebraska win all those national championships that came later in the 90s.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of the players today, I will honestly say, they don't understand how important that was.
Oh, extremely.
It was a building process.
Absolutely.
And I always try to tell people that, yeah, we may not have got it done because of, like you said, we went for 2 and all that, but still we was building something.
It's the principle.
Right.
And you guys would have been national champions. If you kicked the field goal, you guys would have been national champions. Everyone knows that, right?
Right.
But the fact that Coach Osborne went for 2 was amazing. And I talk about him because people talk about coaches all the time, and obviously he's in the Hall of Fame. But Coach, and I use you as an example. Coach Osborne could relate to any kid. If you're in the inner city, if you're born in cornfields and I don't know, Seward or somewhere, he could relate to you.
Right.
And he had this thing about him where you just trusted him. Like when he recruited me, he said, "Steve, I promise you 2 things. You're going to play quarterback, and you're going to get a good education. Where all these other schools promised me all these other things." And he can relate to you. You just trusted him.
And he another thing I always give him credit for that a lot of people don't really pay much attention to is he had a lot of personality types.
Oh, yes.
I mean, and everybody's coming from different parts of the country. And this guy could just relate. Like you said, he could make people from New Jersey and people from Texas, people from Iowa, and he could make us mesh.
Absolutely.
And I mean, once we got on the field, we were one.
We're one.
And I admire him for that because everybody was all everything in high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember playing with somebody that wasn't all this or that in high school.
Yeah.
So when you get here and there's all these guys here from different places and everybody's good.
Yep.
How do you keep everybody here?
Yeah.
You
be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
Because not all of us, you could have been All-American or parade All-American, but you don't turn out to be that way. Or you could have been, last on the list and you turned out to be someone. He treated everyone with respect and gave everyone an opportunity to succeed or fail on their own merit. Well, and that's all you ask for.
I agree with that because I look at the walk-on program back then. Yes. We had some walk-ons that end up doing big things.
Absolutely.
And these guys weren't even recruited.
Yeah.
They just walked on and worked. They put in the work. And I admire Nebraska football for allowing people to walk on at that time because at that time, like you say, it was always top 10 or better.
Oh, yes. It was amazing. I mean, that run with the 60s, 70s, and 80s and the 90s was unbelievable. And like I said, when they won those championships, I felt part of it because we helped that cause and you saw the growth in Coach Osborne.
Right.
And everything schematically, scheme-wise, and then also just recruiting certain players and doing certain things and willing to make some really, really tough decisions, So I'm proud of that, what Nebraska was at that time. And it's a different time, different place, different era. Change is inevitable. There's no question about that.
Right.
But I think a part of that collegiate sport spirit, unfortunately, has been lost, with the NIL and transfer portal and that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
it is what it is, so
just got to adjust to the time.
Got to adjust for it, and I support him and want him to do well. But, I've I have officially passed the torch. That's not my fight anymore.
Right.
But I'll be watching from afar and do what I can as a former Husker.
We do have a phone call, Ricky, if you do want to get to it.
Who we got?
I'm not sure yet. From the Honda of Lincoln hotline. You want to take it now?
Yeah, let me see what we got.
You're on 93.7 The Ticket. Get your happy on with Ricky Simmons and Steve Taylor. Who is this?
Hey, what's up, man? My name's Granny. How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing good, young man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right, man. I'm over here promoting y'all stream a little bit. I'm streaming as well, so hopefully y'all get a little bit of followers out of it. But I was calling to talk a little bit of football with you.
Okay.
Mostly like modern NFL. I'm a Jaguars fan, so I know what depression is.
Okay.
And I think that we're looking really good this year. I think that we're a top 5 team. I don't know what y'all think about that.
Well, personally,
is that the long haired guys? That who Trevor Lawrence plays for?
Yes. I think they're definitely showing progress.
Oh, definitely. They had a huge run last year.
They did.
They got to build off that. So I don't know what they did to draft or whatnot, but they got a stud quarterback to get some people around them, and they're making progress every year. So they could be like the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know. I mean,
they're going
to I'm sorry, Ricky.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to step on you there.
Go ahead, young man.
What I was going to say is I don't know if you knew that last year we got Calvin Ridley.
Yes.
Because he was on that suspension.
Right.
So he's going to be starting for us next year.
Yeah, I think y'all got him from the Falcons.
We did, because he got caught up in that betting scandal, which I think is a little bit of BS in my opinion. But you should be able to bet on yourself. Again, that's what they did to Pete Rose and everybody else. There's trying to do that to them, but you should be able to bet on yourself.
Yeah, well, I try to stay away from them topics because, I understand the severity of it. But you know what? I really appreciate you calling in, man. That means a lot. So keep listening, and we're going to try to keep putting stuff out there that makes it interesting, okay?
All right. Hey, can I say one thing? Everybody that's listening right now, go follow 93.7 The Ticket, man, on Twitch. Y'all give them a subscription and a follow.
Appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
I will, just to piggyback on that, and I don't want to get too emotional here and break down and cry because my mother just passed away last week.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, man. But depression is huge. I get depressed quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I'm not using that loosely. But I do get depressed, and a lot of players really don't talk about the magnitude of that,
right?
And I say that in the fact that in the winter times it gets long if business not going well or something like that, or things in your life. I go in a room and shut the lights off and just go to sleep early and lay in bed and curl up and stuff because we do get depressed. As a quarterback, you're always constantly, as an athlete, you're always constantly being compared to who was the best, who was the greatest, and we all wanted to have the Tom Brady career, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we feel like I know I didn't fail, but I didn't accomplish the things I totally wanted to accomplish.
Right.
And you're always constantly being judged and being compared to who was the best, who did this, who did that, who's the greatest of all time, and all these things. So you get depressed about that.
Yeah.
You get depressed about some other. If I'm not golfing very well, if my golf game was in the crap for a couple
if that's
years,
the case, I stay depressed.
But my point is this: that we need to talk more about that as athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately for me, I bounce back from it. I'm not in that mode a long period of time. I go out and I listen. Your words of inspiration, encouragement that you put on Facebook and social media, those things help. So keep doing that.
Oh, I will.
And I'm a positive person, just in general. But I do have my moments of depression, and you just got to fight through it. So it's a very serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as athletes, we need to talk more about that because we think we got to be so tough, so robust that we can handle anything.
Right.
But we have issues as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know anyone in the world that doesn't. So the main thing is to try to stay focused on the positive the best you can.
Yes.
And that'll help at least give you another way to look at life. I mean, I understand depression is what it is, and I'm not trying to downplay it. But I just when I look at the positive things in life, I can always find something to be upbeat about versus being down about.
Absolutely.
So that's just me personally. But
Absolutely.
I try to encourage everybody just to look at things from a different light, because I think society has designed a lot of things for us to look at things negatively, but they give so much attention to negativity. Yeah. It's almost like it's popular to be negative.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to do that.
I tell you, that's true, because people always want to put me in a box just because I played sports and what we did, and I talk about sports, but I don't really follow a lot of sports. I don't really watch a lot of basketball. I mean, I watch the important stuff.
Right.
But I couldn't tell you who was drafted, who they signed as a recruit, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I just kind of do my own little thing, but they want to put you in a box. You know?
Oh yeah.
And I don't really allow people to do that. And although sports was a huge part of my life, my world didn't revolve around sports. You know? So
speaking of that, now, how much time we got? We got a little time left.
Yeah, we can go now, or otherwise we got about 5 minutes. So if you got a question, go for it.
Yeah, let me ask you one more question, man. When you left Nebraska,
yes,
where did you go?
You know, it's interesting, right? Because after my senior year, I was rated in the top 5 quarterbacks. Like Rodney Peete, Troy Aikman, Steve Walsh, myself, and a guy from Northern Arizona. And I was approached by the scouts saying that, hey, Steve, if you declare yourself as an athlete, you're going to be drafted in the first 2 rounds. That's just what they said. You'll be drafted. If you say you will switch positions, you will be drafted in the first 2 rounds. And I was like, that's cool. I said, but I'm a quarterback. You know, I knew what we did at Nebraska wasn't a pro-type offense. But I could throw the football, and I could run, and I was only 6 feet tall. Canada came to me and said, hey, which was the Edmonton Eskimos, which is like the dynasty of the CFL, which is like the Dallas Cowboys and whatnot. I was their number 1 choice, and they threw some money my way. And obviously, I could play quarterback up there. Warren Moon played up there. And I didn't know Warren Moon had to win 5 Grey Cups in order to go to the States, right? A little different time. And that the head coach took the job down there. But I knew that Warren Moon played in Canada and went to the USFL. I mean, went to the NFL. So at that time, I used that as leverage with the NFL to get as much money as I could from Edmonton Eskimos. Now, I was invited to go to combines. I had my ticket to go to combines, but my agent at the time, high school coach turned agent, said, no, don't go. Just use this as leverage to get more money from Canada. So I went that route. So I negotiated a contract with the Edmonton Eskimos, a multi-year, 4-year deal, made a little bit of money, set me up a little bit. And I was happy. And I thought I'd go up there and play 4 or 5 years and then go to the States. Now, I was still drafted by the Colts. A lot of people don't know that. I had signed a 4-year deal like in February, March, and I was still drafted in the NFL.
Huh.
I didn't even go to combine. I never even worked out or tested for any professional team. And I was still drafted. How many players want to be drafted, right?
Right.
And we had more rounds at the time, but still someone wasted a draft pick on me, and I was locked up for 4 years or so. I mean, that's kind of a neat little thing. I tell people all the time. Because they say, why didn't you go to the NFL? I was like, I could have gone to the NFL. And I probably could have played. I would have played in the NFL. But I just chose to go a different route, you know. So that was my story. So I ended up playing up there, signed a good deal. Unfortunately, I played behind some good quarterbacks like Tracy Hammonds in the Hall of Fame. Doug Flutie is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
My opportunity never really came like that. But we went to 3 Grey Cups. We won 1. I played 8 years. Could have played another 4 years. But I decided to retire and go into real estate here in Lincoln, Nebraska. So that's kind of my story, you know.
Okay.
And I can't complain.
No,
because it worked out okay.
It sounds like a really good deal.
But do I have a Super Bowl ring? No. Do I actually play in the NFL? No. But so that's kind of my story.
Well, hey, look, we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna come right back with Steve Taylor, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Old School with DP and J.
How many do you think Bud has left in it?
Bud's the only one that knows, but I would imagine that Bud is at the one. He's trying to be the best fighter in the world. Period. Like until somebody's got to take that from him, and I'm not sure that anybody can. I don't know if Spence can. Spence would love to be that person, but Bud Crawford has denied people forever.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Whether you like fishing together or fishing to get away, for the thrill of reeling in a big one, or just going out to have a good time, on the banks of your local pond, at a bend in a river, or on one of our many lakes and reservoirs, you'll always find the perfect place to cast a line, here, beneath Nebraska skies. Start planning your next fishing adventure today at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Our lives only have so much time. But if you smoke, you have less. Your life could be 10 years shorter, and the time you do have is often filled with health problems. Shortness of breath, asthma, COPD, and cancer. But the minute you quit, your body starts healing.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
Hey, we back. I see Rebecca Keys is checking us out. What's happening with you, Rebecca? I'm very proud of you. I mean, you had a really big weekend, and just want you to know I'm proud of you. Keep doing big things, all right? Steve, man, you was just telling us about this Canadian experience.
Yes.
Now, see, I don't know much about the Canadian League, but I'm curious to know. Now, kind of walk me through what that was like.
I wish I would have talked to Turner more about it, but no, my career is interesting because it's good, but then it wasn't quite what I would have wanted it to be. But it was successful. I remember I'll go back to Coach Osborne because this is interesting. Going into my senior year, I was going to play baseball in Nebraska because that's when Deion Sanders, a lot of guys were doing two sports. And I went to Coach Osborne and Bo Jackson, right?
Right.
And believe it or not, I was a pretty talented I was a natural left-handed batter, and I threw right, and I was fast, right? So I had the makings to do somewhat what maybe Deion did or some other guys, right? So anyway, I went to him my senior year, and he said, "Well, no, we got a chance with a national championship. We'd like to have you here in spring." So I made the decision not to play baseball.
Okay.
So anyway, but I had choices, right? So I didn't want to ride on a bus to Oklahoma for 14 hours either. I don't want to be out there cleaning bases or moving dirt in the cold Nebraska. So that's on me. So anyway, I signed my contract with Canada. I'm excited about it. I'm going to go up there. And I looked at a couple of CFL games. I knew they had Tracy Ham. Didn't know much about his career, because when it's all about you when you're playing football. You think you can beat out whomever is there, right?
Yeah.
And they want you for a reason, right? So we get there, and Edmonton is stacked. I mean, Tracy has he was MVP my rookie year.
Oh wow!
And we were 16-2, and was going to sure win. We got upset in the playoffs, but anyway, so Tracy renegotiates his contract because he's the man, right? So now they have Tracy Ham, Steve Taylor. Can we afford to play both of them? So anyway, I stayed there. So I'm going to challenge Tracy my second year, and I actually challenged him. He got injured. They pulled him out. I came in and did well. And then there was a quarterback who's going to be the guy, right?
Yeah, that controversy.
Controversy. So anyway, we end up going to the Grey Cup that year.
Oh,
right, my second year in the league, and we lose to Winnipeg. Ironically enough, was Coach Riley was coaching at the Winnipeg, so I knew Riley, right? So they beat us in the Grey Cup. Anyway, so I'm coming back for the season thinking I'm going to have a chance to take the helm, be the guy. They fired the coach. I mean, it's weird. How do you go to Grey Cup? He lost control of the team. We were that good. Players are out doing whatever they were doing, but we're winning. So they fired Ferraghelli and they hired a new guy that came in. And then that's when it was like, okay, Tracy's more established. He's going to be the guy, but we can't afford you. So we're going to try to trade you. So they were trying to trade me, but I didn't have very much experience and I had a pretty big contract. So Calgary called me and said, hey, here's the deal. We're not going to pick you up off waivers because your contract is too big. We're going to let them cut you, and then we're going to sign you to a nice contract. So I knew I was going to get cut because they're trying to trade me. So I was at the mall with my wife, girlfriend at the time, and I got a call saying you're cut. But I knew I was going to Calgary. So I signed like a couple of weeks after, got the deal done. So I'm going down there to be the starter. At the time, they had Danny Bear. You may know Danny Bear. Played at Cincinnati. He was offensive coordinator with Turner Gill. This is how big football is, right? So Danny was a good player. Played many years in the CFL, but I thought I was better than Danny. Was going to do that. So I go there, and Danny gets hurt. I come in, do well, struggle that time, but I'm still going to be the guy in the future. So that was the story. So Danny leaves. Danny signs a free agent deal with Vancouver because I was there, and I'm going to be the guy. Unfortunately, Doug Flutie was throwing up everything up in BC Lions. Yeah. He had just came to the CFL. It was like his third year, and he was MVP of the league that year. Our Calgary Stampeders was bought out by a new homeowner, and he gave Doug Flutie a bunch of money as a free agent. So Doug Flutie came to Calgary. So once again, I thought I had a chance to be the guy, but they get a more established guy, Heisman Trophy. You know the whole story, right?
Yeah.
So, but then I learned from my years in Edmonton that in Edmonton, I was like, I'm going to be the guy. I want to be the starter. When they signed Doug, I said, you know what? I'll back up Doug, and I'll learn as much as I can from Doug, and then play out my contract, and then I'll be a free agent. And so I backed up Doug for 3 years. Doug never got hurt. Our team was stacked. He never got hurt 3 years. I just mopped up and played in the playoffs and be ready to go when he was down and everything. So that was an adjustment to really playing behind. But I saw Doug do things that I thought I could do on the field. He was actually doing it. It's a big difference, right? He would throw passes that I on the sideline, I wouldn't have thrown that pass. So anyway, I thank Doug because I learned so much from him. It allowed me to play football another 3 or 4 years, and my knowledge of football and the passing game just increased dramatically. John Huffnagel was the offensive coordinator, coached Eli Manning at the Giants and stuff. our team was good. I knew the passing scheme. And at Nebraska, we don't throw the football.
No,
right?
trust me, I know.
I mean, in Canada, we're changing protections. We're making side adjustments. We're doing everything. So I was experienced enough where you can throw something in front of me. I can deal with it. So I knew I was ready. So I played out my contract, and I was starting in Hamilton. And then I started there. Then I was traded to Ottawa, and I was starting there. And then the CFL, the Canadian dollar went down to like 67 cents or something. Quebec was talking about separating. And I had played like 8 years or so. And I was like, you know what? I played 20 years of football. I've had some success. It hasn't quite gone like I wanted. Maybe it's time for me to move on, right? So that's kind of what started. So I thought my wife said, "Oh, you're just depressed from the season. You guys struggled."
Yeah.
I said, "Nah, I had just sold my house up there, and I had built a house in South Lincoln. And I never forget this. I was in the kitchen, and my daughter was outside playing a little, one of those little plastic pools with some friends, and just moved into my house, and I get a call from Winnipeg, and they say, "Hey, we want to sign you to 2 and an option." And I was like, you know what? At the time, it was like $500,000-$600,000 or something like that, and I was like, you know what? After taxes and having 2 homes, I think I'm just going to call it. I think I'm done. I'm just going to go into real estate.
Oh, okay.
And that's because I had bought some condos in Canada when I signed my contract, and that's kind of how I got started in real estate. And I could have played. And I didn't really care about being in the Hall of Fame in Canada because I wasn't going to live there.
Right.
And I wasn't going to live there. A lot of players end up living there. That was never my story. And so I made that day. That's when I hung them up. And I was healthy. I can walk the golf course. Had a little base, as far as investments and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of my story. And,
so when you
I did do this though. After my 3rd year in the league, I did call my agent to tell him I wanted to play baseball.
How'd that turn out?
He said, "Steve, I know you're watching guys that you played with. I played with Tommy Gooden and Keith Mitchell. I was actually better than them, really. If you looked at high school, stats and that kind of stuff." He said, "But you haven't hit a curveball in 15 years." That's what he told me. That's what he told me. And I said, you know what? You're probably right. I just go keep watching them play. But so that ship had sailed too. But that was into my career, and I was actually okay with it. And that's when I just started golfing, 3 or 4 times a week, and listing and selling houses in real estate.
Well, I know for a fact you're a really good golfer because
I was, yeah.
No, you are now.
I'm gonna get back to that.
No, I've seen you play. You kind of like Rozier. Y'all like to bait people.
Yeah.
Y'all pretend y'all can't play for a hole or two to get your other person's confidence up, and then after that, you let them know that they're not as good.
I'm so thankful because I started playing golf when I was 13 years old in Fresno, California.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was my summer job. We were paid $3.35. They were saying how minorities were not exposed to golf, didn't have the opportunity, right? And our local basketball coach actually golfed at Edison High. So it was a summer job. I made $3.35 an hour. We had to clean all the toilets, all the bathrooms, pick up all the debris on the golf courses, pick up all the weeds. So, and they gave us clubs. They gave us the odd clubs, the 3, 5, 7, 9, and you got a driver and a 3-wood, right? And gave us some balls. So we had to learn all the proper etiquette, all the rules of golf and everything. But we got paid $3.35 an hour in the summer, and we did that in the morning, and then we got to golf 9 holes in the afternoon. So that's how I got and went to private clubs like Firethorn, Lincoln Country Club, Pioneers. We went around. I mean, imagine all these minority kids getting off a bus, going to these places, and doing this work. So that's how I got involved in golf. Now, I didn't realize the dividends that it would pay in the future.
Right.
But then when I got to college, and my Lincoln parents said, "Hey, let's go golf at Lincoln Country Club," I was very familiar with it. I wasn't intimidated.
Right.
I knew all the rules, all the regulations. So I'm like, let's go play. So I would play every now and then. And then pro-wise, when you have, celebrity functions, things like that, I could go and play. And so I did that. But then once I retired, then that's when I got serious about golf. And let me tell you, it's far more difficult than any other sport in the world. I respect it so much, and it's awesome. It's a wonderful sport.
I love playing golf. Unfortunately, I'm not the best golfer, but I love playing. But just to put some humor in it, I play with red Callaways.
I know. I like it. That's what it's all about.
And I put number 7 on them, so the minute they go way left or way right, they become a donation.
They're coming on there. That's what's great about golf, man. You meet people all walks of life.
Correct.
All different social, economic situations. Mm-hmm. But the one common thing you got is golf. And whether you're a 20 handicapper or a scratch golfer, you're going to have a good time. That's why they have the system.
Yeah.
So it's a great sport. And that's all I do now is just, list and sell homes and build homes. in golf and just meet people. And it's
I meet a lot of people on the golf course.
Yes.
I make a lot of deals out there too.
Yep.
So I mean, that part of it is it's a good business tool. But now you say you went into real estate. When did you first go into real estate? I mean, like full time.
Well, I came back one year and I was like 26 or 27. By then, I had my little daughter, Sydney.
Okay.
And we were renting a house in Lincoln. I had graduated from school and done all that. And I was a quarterback. Brian Washington and I used to work out all the time together, but I'm a quarterback. I'm not going to work out 5-6 hours, right?
Right.
So at the time, I'm too old to be going out to the clubs and doing all that kind of stuff, right? And I had nothing to do. So one day I just picked up a paper and saw his ad about real estate. And I was like, whoa, sky's the limit. Meet different people. Just got to take the tests and pass the exam. I'm like, that sounds like a great career. And I had bought some condos in Canada and sold them. And I know what I was paying out 6-7% on commissions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so realtors had a good life and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I'm going to check into this. So I called Home Real Estate about it, met with their recruiting coordinator. And of course, being the person I am, I said, well, I've never paid for my education. Is there a scholarship available? and she goes, well, actually there is, Steve. But the one thing is that you have to go with Home Real Estate. And I was like, I'm in. So they paid for all my classes and state exam and everything. So I enrolled, took the classes at night, worked out, went up. I took the state exam. I passed it. And then I went to Canada and I was still playing football. And so I had my license, but I wasn't doing anything. And so after about 2 or 3 years, I came back. And that's when I said, I'm going to go into real estate and start full time. And that's exactly what I did. So I approached real estate just like I approached football. I just worked hard, went to the office, networked, and did all those things, took all these classes, about advertising, marketing, finances, investments, all this kind of stuff. And I just built my business and I worked pretty hard at it. And I was good at it and I liked it. And it was a great job for me because my downtime in real estate was 12 to 5 because no one could look at houses because they're working.
Right.
So I would go in the office in the morning, do all my stuff, and I would go golfing from 12 to 5. And I would have a meeting or two in the evening. So it was very conducive to what I want to do. And I was like, this is a great fit. And then things went really well my first 3 or 4 years. And I had an assistant. I was like, you know what? There's no one I trust more than my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep all the money in the family. And Stephanie ended up getting her license, and she's been helping me out ever since. And it's been good. So I've just been growing. And then like the last 4 or 5 years, I started building houses, since I represented so many builders and all that kind of stuff. I loved it. It's like being a quarterback. Man.
Okay.
And that's one thing I never mentioned too. Why I didn't go to the NFL, because I saw guys that played in the NFL that were quarterbacks at one time. Crouch was this, and then Frost. But for some reason with me, I couldn't imagine going into the huddle and not calling the play. That was a killer for me. It was like and when you run the option, you can kind of manipulate and weave and that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
And I said I would throw a pass over the middle and you would catch it.
Yeah.
Because that's in your DNA.
Right.
That's in your DNA.
Right.
Mike Rozier, he's going to run through that hole regardless.
Right. Yeah.
He's going to get the hand. Or me, not so much. Not so much, right? So that's when I knew I probably could have switched positions, but it just wasn't in my DNA. And I just couldn't imagine being in a huddle and someone else telling me what to do.
Right. I got you. Well, you've been a quarterback all your life.
All my life,
So.
And so being a realtor and a general contractor, I'm the quarterback. I'm building something from nothing to something.
Okay.
And I'm working with 15, 16 different other people, framers and flat work guys and electricians, all that
so
stuff.
So you learned everything
I
about
learned everything, man, because I used to represent builders. I know the whole process. I like to build stuff. I like to design homes. I got a good eye for that. And so it was a natural fit for me, but I grew into it and I enjoy it and I love it. Thank God I had the the ability financial to do it. But and it's been good. This year's a little different, but it's been a good career. It's about 30 years, so.
But didn't you recently start something like was it MP Dodge?
No, actually, when I went to Home Real Estate, I was with Home for about 20 years. And then I left and went to Lincoln First Realty, which was a locally Home just got so big and all that kind of stuff. And Warren Buffett bought it. And I went to Lincoln First Realty, which was a locally owned company backed by Cornhusker Bank. I knew the broker and everything. No, this is kind of my exit plan, and they had a great program. So I went to Lincoln First Realty, good small company. And then just a couple of years ago, we merged with MP Dodge out of Omaha, which everyone knows the history. MP Dodge is one of the most historic brokerage firms in the world.
Oh, okay.
in the world. They have associations with Abraham Lincoln. I mean, their great grandfathers and stuff. I mean, it's tremendous. And so now our reach is unbelievable. And now I actually sold a couple of homes in Omaha for the first time in my career, because the MLS has grown and we're so close. And now that we have a brokerage firm in Omaha, I have offices there, I got help there, I got resources there. So we've expanded our reach. So so I moved to MP Dodge, but I'm an independent contractor. We're 100% commission. We work under the umbrella of MP Dodge, but we really work for ourselves.
So basically, you can from start to finish on building houses.
Yeah, about 5-6 months. Absolutely.
Wow. And you know how to do the whole
I do the whole thing. Breaking the ground, designing houses. I don't physically do I'm doing more work than I thought I would do, but I'm learning things, right? And I need my profit margin to go up, but no, you're only as good as your team. Right. You're only as good as your running back, your offensive line, and your receiver. The quarterback, Coach Osmond said, the quarterback gets all the glory, but the other people do the work, So I have a vision, I have a goal, and I got a great team with my subs. They're excellent.
Hey, listen, don't leave, don't go nowhere. We'll be right back with 93.7 The Ticket to get you happy on hour.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
Hey, we back.
Yeah.
Gotta give a big shout out to Brett down in Oklahoma, man. I appreciate you checking us out. And Scott, man, I see you over there checking me out on the cool. That's big, man. I appreciate it. You know, I was just sitting here thinking, you was talking about building houses.
Yes, yeah.
And you can, from start to finish, you can do this whole process. I want to know, how do people get in touch with you?
Easily. All you got to do is just Google Steve Taylor. Just hit Steve Taylor Realtor, General Contractor, MP Dodge. I come up. Unfortunately, I'm all out there, so I get a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that in an arrogant way, but I'm easily accessible because I've been here since 1997 when I retired, and I've had the same number since. So just Google Steve Taylor. All that stuff will come up, and we'll get you handled. If you want to list a house, if you want to sell a house, if you want to build a house. My company is called TMP, which is Tailor Made Properties. I got a cool little black sign with red logos with some cool roof lines and stuff like that. But you can just Google my name, Steve Taylor, and you'll get me. And if you need real estate services, I got you. If you need guest appearances, I got you. I make appearances. I do whatever. I love being involved in the community. So and I appreciate what you do, man. I mean, I've been fortunate. I like what I do, and success is not about your pocketbook. It's about what you're doing, what you're contributing to life, and your story is just wonderful. I talk about it all the time, and what you've done with your life. I really respect that and what you do. I just want to let you know that I think your show is great and your message is good, and I read a lot of your quotes and stuff. On I just sent one to my parents the other day about family members and people being toxic. You don't have to do a lot of. I mean, because my mother just passed away, so there's a lot of different dynamics going. But you got to be true to yourself, and so the things that you do and the things that you say, they do resonate, and I listen to them. I pass them on. My wife puts them on our family group chat with our kids. So we're that kind of family. We like to be positive and whatnot. So I just want to appreciate you for what you do.
Well, thank you, man, because that means a lot to me. Because a lot of times when you're being positive, like I say, you don't know if people are receiving it because negativity is dominating so much. I mean, negativity gets way too much attention, in my personal opinion. But I'm determined to continue to be positive, even if things aren't perfect in my life. I'm gonna focus on the positive.
I've known you since I've been back, and I see that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed. I mean, between you and Aaron Davis, I mean, I wish I was more like you guys. And I'm a positive person.
Yeah.
But I've never seen you guys like in a negative state. And there's a lot of negativity going around, but so that's important, man.
Well,
that's important.
I'll say it this way, man, and I'm pretty sure Aaron would agree with me. It's all between the ears.
It is. It is. I even flip a switch. Like when I get that way, I change my attitude, my whole perspective, and you feel totally different just by just flipping your switch. And you can do it. Just be positive.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I tell my kids that all the time because life is about choices and all that stuff. But it's good stuff and it works.
Well, now everybody laugh at your boy. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. They laugh at me because I always be trying to dance, and I know I can't dance. But you know what? I'm not trying
dance.
to.
What are you talking about?
I'm not trying to make Dancing with the Stars. I'm just trying to get my happy on and feel good. I'm curious to know, with all the stuff you done shared with us tonight, whenever you do get a moment, what does Steve Taylor do to get his happy hour?
I do exactly what you do. I'm happiest most of the time when I'm in my car in the morning.
Okay.
You know, to be frank with you, I get up, I start my day with some Baileys and coffee.
Okay.
I go to my job sites. I want to be cool and calm, and I talk to myself if something comes up, right? And I throw Sirius XM on there. I throw the heat on there, and I listen to music.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about my day. I'm here. I'm going. I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm just jamming like you are. I'm jamming in my car. My music is always playing. You know, so that's me, man. And I got a wide variety of music. I can go from Phil Collins to a little hip hop, a little bit of rap. You know, I listen to everything.
Well, I tell you what, man. I don't know what makes everybody else happy, but I just think it's really important that you figure out what that is and do more of it. I want to thank my guest again, Steve Taylor, for coming in. Harrison, always handling his business over there. I appreciate you. And just remember, I close every show with the same thing. Every day you blessed to see, it truly is another day in paradise. And you got to get your happy on. Go!
That's what I'm talking about.